Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is a show where you look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. Okay, yeah, I know it's been a bit since I was supposed to put up a show. Had a show, literally recorded, was about to go into post-production, was like, whatever, I'll come back tomorrow. And I will be able to put it in post-production. Well, unfortunately, that did not happen. And when I tried to get it out of Audacity kept glitching, making me unable to edit the file. So then, unfortunately, I just had to throw away 45 minutes of a good, decent podcast just because Audacity would not let me edit. It also wouldn't let me edit the quarry, which fortunately I have like outside sound files that I just bring in and then edit in there, but about 20 minutes of editing on the quarry as well was gone. So it's been interesting. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, I think I was told the last 2 episodes of the quarry have been put up before Dragon Con. So yeah, if you're definitely going to Dragon Con or have any interest in rock tournaments, definitely listen to those episodes, because there's some major things that Howard Brock says inside of those episodes, just to keep your eyes open and your ears locked on that. Definitely. All right, then. There's a lot of things that I was going to talk about previously. I was going to talk about Gen Con and my experiences with Gen Con and my team and blah, 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 this, that, yakety smackety, and some other cool ideas. What I'm going to do is I'm going to compress it all down into a nice little bubble so that we can enjoy it in bite-sized fun pieces. Okay? But before that, I have a special announcement. And this PSA is brought to you by Jacob Payne. Pretty much, there is going to be a big charity event in October at Game Cafe at 107 West Lexington Avenue in Independence, Missouri, 64050. And it's to help benefit the Extra Life Foundation. It's a charity raffle and sort of HeroClix tournament. All proceeds go to KU Pediatrics. $3 gets you an entry, $5 gets you 2 entries. Full breakdown of prizes are on the Facebook page. You can look for, if my Facebook would act right, Extra Life HeroClix charity raffle. And so pretty much they're going to have a 24-hour gaming marathon for Extra Life. You play board games there. You play HeroClix there. We're going to have a HeroClix raffle there as well. But all the proceeds will go toward the Extra Life Foundation there. So some of the things that are thrown into the pot is, let's see, what is that? There's a death mask. There is, what else is in that picture? There's a Krona, Jonah Hex, and I think there's probably going to be a few more prizes as he can get them in. So, War of Light. I think it's like a lantern battery pack. Black Lantern battery. It's going to be there. I think one white one's probably going to be already split that one out. and also giving out some chase figures. Is that, yeah, I think it's Doc Ock from Deadpool, Guardian. Is that Superman? Yeah, from Slosh. Orion from Slosh. Spider-Man, Scroll Spider-Man chase, and another couple other figures. I don't even know who those are because I can't see them. So there's definitely some pretty good figures. There's even a Black Witch Prime in there. So definitely check that out. And I probably unannounce it a couple more times before the actual event. So okie dokie. So what we're going to talk about today, real briefly, is about my Gen Con experience, and then into some theory crafting for the day, because I think we're all sort of tired of like blah blah blah. This is the meta, and this is the state of the meta, and this is what you got to do to win in the meta. See, you know. So just some basic theory crafting stuff. All right. Whoo! I've been having conversations all day, so like my voice is run roughshod just a bit. So anyway, my experience with Gen Con has been nothing but positive, except for one element, and that element is me getting sick on the first day due to con, funk, heat, crud sickness. Pretty much what ended up happening is waiting to get to the WizKids booth on the first day. It got really, really hot waiting outside, and it got to that point where it was humid, and the humidness was generated from human bodies, and poof, like someone coughed, and I felt it float past my head, and then I felt it go into my face, like my mouth was closed. I felt it like penetrate my mouth in a very destructive, viral way, and so then I already felt like my tonsils in the back of my throat sort of swell up, and it was like, ah. So I went to try to get to the WizKids booth with the running of the nerds, as they may call it, and to only find out that VIG status has allowed people to go in there early, and the line is wrapped around the WizKids booth. And then I was told that I must go away and return at 11:30. Well, guess what? If I came back at 11:30, I wouldn't have been able to do the first round of qualifiers. So I was sort of out of luck day one. Fortunately for me, Howard Brock was a VIG, and he let me borrow his nurse for the first rounds of Gen Con qualifiers. So first rounds I went 3-2, learned a lot about my team, learned a lot about the high level meta play, and kept it rolling. Had one game that would have been a loss if I played it out, that I lost due to roll off, and the other one was against New Mutants Copycat. If I had only just ran after I killed Copycat, would have been so much better situation. Day 2 went 5-0, and I thank God above for that, and gave Jesus a high five, because buddy, yeah, my first game was so tough. I'm going to explain why I said all that, and it's not even tongue in cheek. Pretty much my first game I went against a guy who had I think it was like 2 entities, one on Shatterstar, one on Avalanche, the Power Plant, Blind Owl, and Talon. And so he mind controlled, he got 2 rings out. First ring was the double target, and the other one was the knockback ring, the Vortex, or I think it's the Vortex one. Yeah, so I've got 2 what is it, I got 2 constructs up. I put up my wall. He Black Talon mind controls, sends out Shatterstar, does his once per game effect, carries Avalanche. Because mind control is still active, Avalanche quakes, hits hits Cosmic Boy, and because I had that wall in between them, he did one less damage to me. But I shape changed out of it with super sensed out of it with Phantom Girl, and also with Wolverine on the first attempt. And he then knocked, like, Cosmic Boy into the wall, dealing penetrating damage on top of that. So he did like a ton of damage to Cosmic Boy, and then the next turn he just did it again, and all I could say was like, oh crap. So he killed Cosmic Boy. Then I tried to run Phantom Girl away to get healed by the power battery. He then, due to poison, Shatterstar's taking some clicks, and Shatterstar's on hypersonic speed from Parallax. Hypersonic speed's over, kills Phantom Girl with the disintegration beam, destroys my battery. It is just Wolverine. Okay. So Wolverine proceeds to Berserker Barrage, full move charge, kills Shatterstar. Next turn, Berserker Barrage, full move charge, kills Avalanche. And then I proceed to kill Talon, and Black Talon, and that was the game. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, gave Jesus a high five, because definitely that first round, I should not have won that. Anyway, went 5-0 on the second day at Quals. That gave me a guaranteed spot in, I think it was like 16th place, 16th or 18th going into day 3. Then they let too many people into finals, so they did mini Swiss. I faced my good friend George Masu. Round 1, lost to him with his Bizarro team, and then the second round I went against a guy with a Pog-based team, and after playing Goku twice with the dang Pog tech, yes, because he went to my con in my store, people. He went to the con in my store and beat me in the con in your store. Love you, Goku, man. We got to play again. But yeah, so it's one of those things where, yeah, HeroClix has Attack of the Clones, and there's a difference between the clone and the original, and this isn't a slap to the dude that I beat, but it's quite clear, like, he didn't have the Pog stacked right in the perfect numbers of, you need this amount of Pog stacks over here and over that. Yeah, and he didn't fully understand what my team did. Like, he moved Scotty's Warbot right adjacent to Wolverine. And I'm like, okay, cool. Poison, Scotty's Warbot is dead. So, like, you should see my face. Like, I'm like, okay. I had that, like, you should have just realized that Scotty wasn't going to do jack on this map in this situation. So, anyway, overall, I learned a lot. Getting 19th place wasn't bad. I was about 40 points away from cut. I learned a lot of things about the meta and high level play, and also I realized something in particular that is huge. You can't win in a high level tournament anymore by being by yourself. You just can't. The guy that got second place, he's an excellent player. Hopefully I'll be able to interview him for either this show or the Quarry. And I'll be honest, he's probably going to be one of the last of a dying breed of, just a guy that plays with his family and his local venues, a really good, team builder. But he's, the cheese that stands alone. So I think going forward, you need the hive mind. And I mean, for your local venues, whatever, I've been saying this for a while, have your friend, have your buddy, have that person that you talk to build up a rapport with, so you can, talk about HeroClix and get a different perspective on things, because it's just required nowadays. So just something for everyone to think about. Today we're going to talk about something that's hit me a lot more, a lot stronger in the last few days. And that is the idea of tinkers and tuners. And I'm going to refine this idea down from tinkers and tuners to pilots and builders. Okay, pilots and builders, tinkers and tuners. Okay, uh, so I want you to sort of think of that concept here real quick, and I'm going to break it down about what each of those are. Okay, so let's break this down just a bit. I got this from Adam Friedman, aka Furls, and he pretty much told me that there's this concept in Magic the Gathering that there's tinkers, people that create tech, that dig around, find odd combinations, and be like, "Ha, this is broken. Watch this." And so they'll play it, and it may not be the most refined, but the concept is quite clear. And then you have tuners, people who are not necessarily very creative, but they're very efficient. And so then they, take that concept and refine it down. But if you ask that same person to be able to create something original, new, very potent, the chances are they're most likely not going to be able to do that. Okay, so I sort of took this a step further, and I sort of realized in heroclix that team building really is a good part of the play, and then it's actually playing it. And with us, we have tinkerers and tuners, and that's in the design side. But then we also have builders and pilots. And I'm just going to elaborate here. The builders and pilots concept is that we have people that are able to build excellent teams. And then we have people that are able to play excellent teams. Okay, so there's a difference between the two, because you can see people who have very little creativity play the world champion team and be awesome with it. And then you see the guy that can build great teams, hand him the world champion team, and he will not play well at all. Okay, and so this concept hits home mainly for me because I feel like definitely doing the show and operating with all of you that I'm pretty much in the builder category. I help build things. I help design things. I make it so that you all can understand that and break it down for you so that the build and design concepts are convenient enough. Okay. Me placing 19th at Gen Con reminded me I got a lot to work on in the pilot category. And I've even said it before in the past that I've used my team building to sort of compensate for my weaknesses in placement. Well, guess what? When placement matters a whole lot, just as much as your use of your team, then guess what? You're going to have some problems. So that's part of what I encountered. And I learned a whole lot, definitely in the sense of there are great players out there, and a lot of great players are not necessarily great designers of teams. And I'm going to say this again, and I'm not going to insult anybody. I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, that world champion, that player over there, they're a builder, that guy's a pilot. No. But what I am going to make clear is that there are some players that are excellent players, but just not excellent team builders. Okay, there's some players that are excellent players, but are not excellent team builders. Okay, and I'm talking about the highest level. Now, there are some that are high level building skill, high level play, but they are very few and far between. Okay, so if you take Rubicon, for example, Rubicon in particular has a lot of high skilled players, but they have a gentleman in their background, and this is brought up through Glass Cabinet Films interview with one of their players heading to Dragon Con. There's a guy called the Professor, and the Professor is the guy that makes most of their tech. And so when it's almost like if the Professor speaks, everyone listens, because you're about to get taken to school, and you're gonna learn today. You're gonna learn today, and if you think about that, if you think about the implication that there is an individual that's able to sit back, analyze, create, and then everybody else is able to contribute and refine and calibrate to their play style, it creates a very strong dynamic, which also explains why Rubicon performs as well as it performs in these events. And I forecast the more team events come up, the more and more you're going to see the name Rubicon, just because they have a institution and a brain trust. Okay, so what does this mean for, everybody else? What does this mean for the average person? Where you go into your local meta and you feel that you're a mediocre pilot and a mediocre builder. Where is, the grand skies for you? And I'll tell you the truth, that it really comes into your time and where your thoughts lay. Okay. If you have the time to keep looking at things and looking at things and looking at things and tweaking things and putting figures into little piles and making, little copious notes about, oh, this little power does this. I need to have that to make it broken. Let me just put that into wait and see category. Then all of a sudden you're a tinkerer. You are, you're the one exploring new tech. If you find that you tend to just find what's out there and what works well and then just make it more efficient, you're a tuner. I think one reason Daniel Joins and I work together so well, and I had to bring this up to him, and before Gen Con we were working on his team, and yes, I didn't know that his team when we were designing it was illegal, and trust me, I had 15 other problems when we were making his team. Okay, because WizKids kept releasing stuff, so I had to reset my team a couple of times. And trust me, what I played at Gen Con was not my first draft team. Definitely was not my first draft team. But anyway, sort of going back, Dan is a tuner. He sees what's out there, and he says no, this is how you make it better. No, this is how you make it better. I am a tinkerer. I go and say well, I got this power here. Then I combine it with that and then add a little chemical H and then send it to Canada. And then I shall be the new king of England. That's what I do. And sometimes it comes back and it's no, you're not the king of England. You just gained $40. And it's oh, okay, that's not what I expected. So being able to, show host with him and even talk to him in private time has proved to be very beneficial because, I can throw an idea to him. He's no, man, that don't work. That you have all these other factors that you have to deal with. And then he'll throw stuff to me and I'm well, have you thought about this? No one's going to see this coming. Play this. It completely disrupts everything that folks are wanting to play. And so when you start looking at those dynamics, that you have the tinkerers, that you have the tuners, that you have on the building end, that when they work together, they can create excellent amount of tech. For my Gen Con team, I would say, and I had this conversation with one of my mentors, with one of the guys I mentor. And then this came up. He brought it up more so than I thought about it. Is that we had his aggro end and thought process. We had my shenanigans and sort of analysis of the meta is range based. Screw them, play hand. We had some thoughts from my former student Tom about how to really instigate some thought processes in team design. And then I threw some stuff off of Dan, and he helped me out, and I play tested with Mace. Okay, you see how many hands touched that team? That's a lot. That's a lot. Just imagine what would happen if it was just me. Just take a moment. Where would the development stopped at? And I can tell you the development would have stopped at, hey, I'm going to play a hand team. Okay, I kid you not. It would have stopped at, hey, I'm going to play a hand team, and I would have been playing Calling Wing and Misty Knight. And I would have not been able to do a tenth of what I initially planned to do. So there you go. I mean, you have a better understanding that even I, person who spends way more parts of his day than he should wrapped up in heroclix meta is humbled by the fact that to win, you can't build a team by its darn self. That it takes a collective. It really does state, just the influx of pieces and just the state of the meta. There is no obvious answers. This is another thing just sort of striking out, and it's sort of about this and about team building, piloting, and Gen Con. While I was at Gen Con during the teams element, I was talking to two gentlemen from Rubicon, and what they said to me, I think it was Dre. I don't want to say the black guy from Rubicon because that's sort of mean, but the black guy from Rubicon, because I forgot his name, unfortunately. But I was sitting talking to him and one other, and it was interesting because he said, his main goal, since their team, got their part of the team got knocked out because they sent like 3 squads in. He said his main goal was to make sure that everybody, was able to focus on their games. They got water, they got their stuff together, they have their figures, and if they needed, food, anything, that he would run and go get it, because he understands how stressful it was. Okay. Now, some people might say, well, dang it, that sucks. You're not playing. Or dang it, you're the weak player. And I would say, no, man, that's what you call a manager. That's what you call a team organizer. Okay. And they had another guy just sitting there and just looking at games and taking notes and just said, hey, tighten this up next game. Watch out for this. This is what gone on. And you have a coach. And this is why I'm like, they have a team manager and a coach. And the team manager and the coach play. They're not has-beens. They are actively involved in the game. And they understand the concept of collective winning. And until you get to a point where you can receive the concept of collective winning, high-level heroclix play will be locked out from you. I say this because I remember I think it was last year, a guy in the military emailed me. He says, I'm going to take my son to Gen Con and I want to compete in Worlds with him. And what does it take to be the world champion? And at that time, I couldn't tell him because I wasn't at that stage in development. And in doing this show, trust me, if you hear earlier shows of what I was saying and then what I'm saying now, it's a lot better quality because I've grown with talking with you all, grown by mentoring. I've grown by playing tougher opponents. I've grown by going to tougher tournaments, But now I can definitively say from going to Rocks, from going to Gen Con, that if you're going to grow in the game, you cannot do it alone. You cannot do it by just being a member on the Realms. You can't just do it by maybe going to a Rock now and then. You can't do it just by going to big tournaments. You have to have a team. So anyway, you can start to see the idea and the concept of team building being a lot more lucid, a lot more diverse, a lot more flexible. And that takes us to our pilots. The capability of a person to run a team now is by far tougher than ever at the highest levels of play. If you go back and listen to my interview, if you listen to last episode from Gen Con, if you listen to what Ross said, the former Origins winner, he ended up telling us something that was very interesting. He said there's so many beginning of the game effects, it just bogs down the game. And I mean, I made it clear as well. Like, I made a mental exercise so that I can remember, like, hey, beginning of the game, do these 4 things. If high-level players running high-level teams are having problems running the teams due to complication, and you are able to find people that are able to run high-level meta teams without any sort of mental fumbling, guess what? You have an excellent pilot. period. Because the one thing I've learned from coaching and mentoring with heroclix is that you can go through, as long as certain fundamentals are there, you can go through and teach nuance. And you can teach nuance with the team. And you can explain concepts with the team. It doesn't mean that person is going to initially see it, but if you see how to build that team, but once you explain to them the nuance and the layers of the team, then yes, then this new sort of understanding comes out. It's just like if a pilot and a mechanic are walking the airplane, and the mechanic is explaining the limitations of the engine and the material in the wings and how it reacts to friction and how many shots it can take before the plane hits critical condition. The pilot is absorbing all of that. It's taking all of that in, okay? But when you're looking at the pilot coming back to looking at the plane, he looks at it in a different sense. The pilot sees this as a mechanism to achieve X, Y, Z goals. Whereas the mechanic is looking at the composition. Okay? Mechanic, composition, pilot, function. Okay? And so when you have a person that's able to pilot a high-level heroclix team, they're able to just come in and just roll over people. And that's why folks have problems with net deckers. But they never really understood that person that is net decking may have may not be super creative, but are highly capable. Whereas that individual that's losing is highly creative, but maybe not mentally capable. And that's not meaning you're an invalid, you're dumb, you're stupid, or anything like that. No. Everyone has different mental limitations. One question I've been asking those people I've been mentoring or talking with about heroclix is this: if I gave you a team with 15 figures on it, are you comfortable in a 400-point game? I gave you a 15-figure squad. Are you comfortable running that team? And I'm not going to tell you what people have answered or whatnot, but it's very telling, because to say I have 15 figures means I have 15 balls juggling in the air. That means that I have 15 different things that I need to remember, and I have 15 different elements that are keying off or not keying off. And so can I make a synergy out of that? And there's very few players that are able to run a 15-figure team. Now, like, let's go to 1,000-point games real quick, and this is sort of drive the point home. In a 1,000-point game, everyone says, oh my gosh, they're awesome, but oh my gosh, they suck because they take so long. Why do they really take so long? And I want you to really think about that. Why do they really take so long? And why do they take so long on your opponent's end? And why do they take so long on your end? And the reason why they take so long is that many times when we build 1,000-point teams, we don't have synergy. We don't know how to pilot something that big and has too many new moving parts for our normal consciousness to deal with. We don't really shift into a different type of mindset when we play clicks. Many people just like, well, my daily life, and I interact with clicks the same way that I deal with daily life. Okay? There's no part in you that hits that fight or flight syndrome or that hyper analytical syndrome. And that's fine. If that's not you, that's just not you. But if you're able to trigger into your mind, I'm shifting gears to play heroclix. I am going to relax. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to kick my opponent's butt. Okay? And once you see it like that, and it moves around in you, then you can start saying, all right, that guy's enhancement, that guy's enhancement, that guy's outwit, that guy is my attacker, that guy is my support. This other guy, he sits there and does this shenanigan. This other guy does this other shenanigan. And when those shenanigans are done, this guy attacks. And then Super Scroll does this. And then Professor X does that. Boom, that's my team tester with this, that, and the other. My opponent is dead. So once you start seeing it as a whole, and you see stages of game, you see stages of actions, and you see timetables, and you're able to see all the gears working as one, creating this wonderful clockwork piece, then it's like, 15 figures, I get it. 8 figures, I get it. 25 powers, I get it. This, that, all these other things, because you have to take time and see it. But an excellent pilot is able to perceive all those things and rolls with it naturally and fluidly. Now you might say, hey, Dark Logos, man, I'm not an excellent pilot. I'm an okay pilot. I want to get better. How do I become a better pilot? And then first thing I would say is, do you have a ship that fits your skill? Okay? Do you have a ship that fits your skill? Now, I say this because you've listened to the show. I have taught you all how to be great builders. And so you're developing starships and you need to be in a putt-putt plane. Okay? You can make something that'll take you to the Klingon homeworld to annihilate them all, and you'll come back with 1,000 bathlets and sell them on eBay. But you can make that ship, okay? But you can't fly that ship. You need a crew to fly that ship. And it's pissing you off because when you give stuff to other people and you see it works and they win with it and you play it, then you can't win with it because it's beyond your capability. There is nothing wrong with that. So what you need to do is build a putt-putt plane, fly that around, and then eventually upgrade to getting yourself a nice little fighter jet. And then once you get off of that, you can get yourself a nice little shuttlecraft. And then you can eventually go to your freaking Romulan death bird of doom cloak ship, nuke a planet. Okay, you can do that. But what has happened is you've gone to the full end of the intellectualization and taken out the practical application. Okay, you can't go full head on it all the time. You actually got to play stuff out. Like I can't tell you how many times I've gone full head on teams and I just sat down at a tournament and it's like, and then I look back, I'm like, I forgot my alternate team ability. I forgot my construct. I forgot Phoenix Force at the beginning of my dang turn. Dang you, Phoenix Force. I forgot my entity. I forgot this. I forgot that. I forgot this other thing. Okay. Well, guess what? I make transmutating freaking ships that take you into other parts and other dimensions. And then even I'm like, oh crap. I landed on a planet with no air and I'm choking. And I might die if I don't get out of here in the next second. What button do I need to press? Oh shoot, I don't know. The language shifted to Chinese. And so that happens to the best of us, so that I want you to say to yourself, like, how much am I really having problems just running my team? And then if so, come back, scale down your teams. Don't stop listening to the podcast because I need your views and I like you and I like having chats with you, but come back to breaking down what's in the shows into more minute details and start working on those details. Start inspecting those pogs, those cogs, and seeing how they turn, and just work on that. Like, okay, this cog rotates at a 15 speed oscillation, and to my calculations, that should give me this amount of lift and allow my missiles to shoot this fast. Okay, I think I can handle that. I got some clay pigeons. Let's take this baby off and let's try this. Okay? You would be surprised how many games that I had just joking around, play testing with Mace, that has turned into, oh my gosh, this is broken. And there's been a whole lot of games where I play tested with Mace. It's just like, this is so bad. This is so bad. Like my Gen Con team. My first draft of my Gen Con team, which was going to be the Avengers team base with the Brotherhood team base, Pop-Off Magneto and Pop-Off Professor X, and then I have 2 team bases in the duo. By merging Professor X and Magneto. So that was going to be my team. And then I started dealing with complications, and I started seeing the fact that my highest attack was a 10, and I started seeing a bunch of other elements. It was just like, oh, I hate this. And there were stronger things for me to play. And I developed stronger things. I when I saw John Stewart, I'm like, I'm mad. I'm pissed off at WizKids. They released a sniper rifle. But daggone it, this is the best John Stewart ever. Which is really not that hard because they sort of crapped all over that dude previously. I'm like, I'm going to play my black characters. I'm going to go win Gen Con with my John Stewart. And I'm going to win. And then I'm going to make more powerful black characters. And then when February rolls around and my Black History Month team comes, I'm going to have John Stewart and Blue Marvel and Brother Voodoo. And I'm going to beat everybody. And I'm going to have a good team this year. So you can sort of tell. Yeah, and that really was my mindset. Like, I was pissed off. And not in a good place. Okay, so you can sort of tell, like, even in the midst of that, there's some points where you're building stuff and it's like, no, this is out of the wrong place, because nerddom and emotional distress kicks into your team building and makes you a bad pilot. Okay, it really just does. So there's a lot of it, and I'll be honest, a lot of psychological barriers that people put up due to past hurts from them losing. And so then they come up and it's like, you know, if he didn't just play that cheese that one day, he knew how bad I wanted that Teen Titans Ellie. He knew it. And then he won it from me, even though he knew that day I brought my best Teen Titans theme team. Didn't he know he was supposed to lose that day? Now, note, you might not see that, but that's really going on in a lot of people's heads. And I've had that moment too. You know, definitely when I started. And I'm not going to be like, yes, I sat at the pinnacle of heroclix play forever and all times. You know, from the beginning to the end, I have always been excellent and shall be. Like, no, that's stupid. That's so far from the truth, it's not funny. But those emotional barriers that people put up to play makes them bad pilots, because they see, oh my gosh, across the table is cheese, and automatically their mental walls start forming up and how pissed they are, instead of thinking, okay, it does this, I need to handle my team like so. It's just like if you're fighting over water and fighting over land, there are two different combat styles if you're in an aircraft. Okay, and a lot of different things that you have to be mindful of. If you're fighting over water, you don't have to worry about mountains most of the time. Okay, but if you're fighting over land, you have to worry about mountains. If you go down in water, you got to worry because someone has to come get you, and you are pretty much royally boned most of the time. Okay, not where you want to be. Okay, if you go down over land, you have depending on the landscape, you can probably hide. And depending how far you are in enemy territory, you can or cannot get out within reason. Okay, so there's a lot of other things for you to think about in, you know, how you're fighting and in your mindset. But if you're having that mindset of, man, last time I fought over water, he came in and I tried to dodge him, and then he shot the tail wing off. And I tried so hard. If that's in your brain, you're already dead. You just are. So anyway, so coming back, you know, a lot of our problems right now is just people build teams. They're just smarter than them. It's just like their phone. Ask most people how to use their phone, and they can make a call and use a hand select of apps, but then you ask them to turn their phone into a hotspot. They're like, what? I can do that? And it's like, yes, you can. You turn your phone into a hotspot. Unless you're with Apple, then no, you're sort of screwed. Sorry. So, but yeah, so that's the major concepts, and sort of coming back together. It's just I want you all to sort of see where the future is. The future is not in exceptional individualism. And you might say, like, oh, Dark Logos, but isn't the whole point of this podcast to create exceptional individualism? Sorta. But if you do have, if your main focus is, I'm going to be a local meta player and I'm really never going to go to anything big, fine, cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Exceptional individualism. Okay. But if you, as an exceptional individual, decide to go into higher heroclix play, you will be faced with this onslaught, the phalanx, the Borg assimilation of the collective. And I'm sorry, the exceptional individualism cannot overcome the collective the way it is now. The individual has to be so exceptional that it would have to exceed the capacity of I don't want to say that, because if someone wins by themselves, they're going to be like, I'm a Nietzsche super person. The effort, time, and experience needed to be an exceptional individual on high level heroclix play to overcome the meta as it is now, in the side meta, or the meta narrative with teams and team operations and team thought. You have to be a freaking genius and part of Mensa. And if you are, good for you. There's other things that you should be doing with your time. Why are you listening to my podcast? Go give us clean energy or something. I'll give you $5. Just go make clean energy, or at least make it so that I don't have to deal with Time Warner or Comcast for my internet service provider. If you can do that, you're definitely a genius. Anyway, but if you come back and you just say, like, all right, if I humble myself, admit that I need other people, and admit that they have something valid to offer, then yeah, you can go far. Because trust me, after looking at individuals that have performed well at Gen Con this year, not all of them are brand names, so to speak. And a lot of them are just under the wings of very excellent players. So, anyway, that's just what I want y'all to think about. I wanted to go over the power batteries, and I really don't have time for that this week. Definitely, there's tons of heroclix goodness on the Quarry. So definitely go check that out. Definitely, if you're able to see Howard Brock on 8C Realms or on Facebook, just PM him and just say, hey, you know what? I like the Quarry. Keep that Dark Logos guy and pay him more money. Anyway, definitely do that. So anyway, that's mostly it. Also, email me. What do you think of the concepts of that I presented to you today? I know this is sort of weird. I got some great feedbacks in Battle Royales from the number line thing, the number 1, 2, and 3, and you're a 5. And 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, the 1 through 10 and you're a 5 show. I had people come up to me and tell me like that was their favorite show. So definitely your voices have been heard on that, and I guess there's a lot of people that definitely feel like they're a 5 and they're trying to become number 1. So that was an excellent surprise. Oh, all right. So we're at the end of the show today. You can email me. Oh, wait, I'm doing it wrong. Oh gosh, this is bad. Get out the habit. You can follow me on Twitter. There we go. Stop being befuddled. You can follow me on Twitter because it came from outer space and told me, man, those Borg guys are cool. You can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. Yeah, see, I'm just doing it wrong. You can find my musings, find out, random stuff. Definitely the last little, fair warning that I put out there was interesting. And I got some interesting feedback from my good friend Joachim Adler. Yo, homie, I haven't forgot you in the graphic. Still working on getting some stuff together. So you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com if you wish to opine. Keep it interesting. Keep it awesome. Keep it remix, baby. Remix. Definitely tell me what you think of this show, this episode, and how do you see yourself operating in a team meta atmosphere. Shout outs to the Bluegrass Guardians of the Galaxy. You know who you are. Anyway, and you can, last but not least, follow me on the blog, startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. I am going to put up the buys for Guardians of the Galaxy. I just need to type it up. I need to just go through HC Realms and select them up and then put them up there for you. So probably by the time most of y'all listen to this, it should be up. If not, just email me yo, homie, what happened? All right, that's it. Thanks for listening. Really do appreciate it. And remember, we all have to start over sometime.